right, what's up, guys?
Coach. More than 2 weeks into it, 2 weeks before the first game, how would you assess the offense to this point?
Getting better every day. Right now, we're working a lot of situational football, getting ready for real football. So it's kind of time to get away from the install, and now it's more about situations. But we're learning, growing and learning every day, so that's been fun.
Steve, looking at the quarterback situation, what did you see from these guys? Yeah, you guys are 2 weeks out, a little less than 2 weeks out from gameplay. What does a quarterback really look like in a quarterback situation for you guys?
Yeah, kind of the similar answer. Right now, we're getting an opportunity to work a lot of the situations, whether it's 4-minute offense, 2-minute offense, red zone, so getting a lot of those things in. So each guy gets, we schedule it out so all those guys are getting the reps and opportunities. So that's still ongoing. The great thing about the quarterback position right now with those three guys, we feel really good about all three. Got a little ways to go before we do play that first game. Very soon we're going to start sending our attention to game one versus Jack State, but it's still a blend right now of working on us, and the situations and getting prepared for the season. So we still have a little bit of time, but yeah, we're getting closer.
Between his starts at Marshall and FAU, Cam Fancher's gained a lot of experience. How have you seen that benefit him so far during this camp?
Cool thing about Cam, not only does he have experience, he's also a quick learner. So that's been fun to be around. He does a really good job of managing the huddle, managing all the operation things. So yeah, that's a major benefit for him. That's one of his strengths, and we lean into that, and he's really been a nice benefit for the quarterback room for those same reasons. So yeah, he's the older guy in the room, so it's good to have him.
What would you say is one of the biggest strides you've seen Tate and Jackson make?
Just getting comfortable with the offense. Obviously he was here in the spring, did a good job, and it's been learning every day and did a good job this summer. Obviously the arm talent's there, and he can do some really good things, very good athlete. So and he's getting better every day, just like Cam. And I say Cam's an older guy. These guys all do have some experience and they've played, so that's a major benefit to that room.
Earlier this week, Alex Gray was saying that 14 days out is when they're going to start prepping for the first opponent. How much are you guys starting to look ahead to that game, or are you still more focused on working on yourselves right now?
Yeah, kind of like what I said earlier. It's a nice blend of both things, making sure that we're hitting all the, we're crossing the T's and dotting the I's in relationship to having all our situations dialed in with our install. But while we're doing that, we're sprinkling in things that we believe are going to be good versus our first opponent. And listen, there's really not a lot of great tape to watch on our first opponent because it's a new defensive coordinator. I mean, heck, it's a whole new staff there. So we're really centering in our focus right now on what we're best at so that when we get into that game, we can execute things versus all the looks that we might get. But with that being said, there's certainly things that we as coaches feel pretty good about in relationship to game one, so we sprinkle those things in. Sometimes it might be something that the kids realize, our players realize that this is going to be stuff that's really part of the early install for the first game, but they also know that these are core plays for us that we can execute versus and should be able to execute versus anything.
Kind of on that note, are you going to be kind of evaluating past tape of the other defenses, like say, was at Colorado and Alabama, so looking
Sure.
at that tape and then mixing that in with the individual players that they've brought in?
Yeah, you bring up a great point. When you got a first opponent, and this isn't, we're not different than anyone else in the country in relationship to game one. There's a lot of unknowns. So you certainly got to go back and use some historical data to try and make a best guess of what to expect. That's going to have more to do with when we get the scout team and we start getting those show looks, okay, what looks do we present to our offense? The cool thing is our defense does a really good job of giving us multiple looks. So I think we're getting a lot of the box checks in relationship to, okay, be prepared for this look and have an understanding of this and the other thing. But to your point, man, you got to watch a lot of tape and have a general understanding of where the reoccurring schemes come from on defense. And where we're at right now, I mean, we're still working on us and the situations that we need to be able to master that are just going to show up in regular football. But we're certainly looking at all the things that could show up.
Coach, can you speak on the wide receiver unit and the strides that they've been able to make throughout fall camp?
Yeah, those guys have been making some plays, which is really nice to see. They're getting more comfortable with the scheme. They're getting more reps of the things every single day. And, hey, go figure. When you got firm feet and you know what you're doing exactly because you got the reps, you can go execute and make plays. So that's been really nice to see and developing depth. I think I talked about that last time I was up here talking with you guys. It's super important to develop depth And there's certainly some guys that we feel really comfortable with playing football here. And, obviously we got a long ways to go and we're going to continue to work. But that's been nice to see that group really step up and make some plays in critical situations in practice.
We've heard a lot of the players and then coaches talk about needing to get the speed up with this team, and then obviously we know that Coach Ross likes to run a fast offense. What's been the challenge of maybe getting up to speed? How are players kind of adjusting to the speed that you guys want to play as you prepare for that first game?
Guys are doing a really good job of leaning into it. Heck, man, we're out here practicing in the heat a lot of the time, so that's not an easy thing. And I think that's a big advantage for us as we get the opportunity to practice in the heat and humidity, and that's a really good thing for us because if we make practice as hard as it can be, then the game's going to be easier. But I think the kids, our players, are excited about having that style of offense where it can be multiple tempo and we can go fast at times and know when to slow it down at times too. So they're leaning into it. It's not perfect right now. It is a challenge when you got to practice back-to-back days in the heat, but I think the guys are really learning what the expectation is so we can hold them to that standard, and really more important than that is they can hold each other to the standard of what tempo means. And it's not just getting a snap-off fast, that's also playing hard and fast with the echo of the whistle. Coach Frost talks about it all the time. It's about speed and precision. That makes plays go. It doesn't matter what play is called. We can execute the play if we play with speed and precision and have the detail necessary.
Coach, since we last spoke, what sort of strides have you seen out of the tight end room, particularly from Dylan Wade and Kyle Fox, and if you've made a determination on starters yet or two tight end systems in that way?
Both guys and the whole tight end room is working really hard, and I feel like I might be on repeat here, but those guys are doing a really good job with the pass game, and we're learning how to be more and more physical every day in the run game, which is super important because if you can be physical in the run game, then all of a sudden, bang, you're going to be open in some of the pass game. But both guys are really putting in the work, and that's the whole tight end room, not exclusive to just those two guys.
What are you guys kind of right now in terms of camp? School starts on Monday. I know you talked about getting ready for the first opponent. Is there like maybe another scrimmage coming up this weekend, and kind of you'll sit down after that and evaluate depth chart and stuff? Kind of what's the timeline on kind of transitioning from camp to game prep?
Yeah, we take a look at our practice plans after practice every day to see what we need to get to because of where things are at. So it's constantly evolving with that. But like I opened with, it's the situational football stuff that we're really keying in on. And that might mean that we'll do a short scrimmage. And really the idea of the scrimmage is to make it feel like college football Saturday, whether it's something as silly as running the guys into the locker room so they know what that feels like after pregame before we run out to run some plays, and then we'll script some of the situations as well. You get your 4 minutes, your 2 minutes. We'll put the ball down on the plus 25 so we can get some high red zone work. So our focus is going from install now to the situations. In a situation, a situation counts if we're talking about just coming out of the locker room for the first drive of the game. That's something that is different than what normal practice would be. So, yeah, you name it, we're probably practicing that right now.
Scott mentioned last week that Davion's going to tweak something and it's not available for the scrimmage, and we've seen him the last two practices. So what's his status going forward?
From my understanding, Coach Frost will cover all the injuries when he gets up here. I don't know if it's tomorrow or the next day. I'm not 100% sure on the schedule there, but yeah, I'm going to stay away from any of the IR stuff.
Is it realistic to say this quarterback battle can go into the first two games of the season?
Yeah, there's really, we're open for everything right now. The cool thing for us is we still have a lot more to dive into in relationship to situational football, and that's really where the quarterback evaluation piece is going. And again, we're open to anything. It's a really good thing when you feel good about 3 QBs.
What are the challenges of building around, trying to evaluate each of the 3 quarterbacks, but still trying to build that confidence and let the team get used to the future starting quarterback?
Yeah, probably just like any other position this early in the season. And again, I don't think we're special in relationship to the rest of college football. One of the big things as you get it closer and closer to the first game is to have the rapport with the guys that are going to be out there. But we're not just going to play with 11 guys. On offense, there's going to be a lot of guys playing. That's what it takes to have a good team. It really has to do with depth. So we're a challenge that we face every day, and we attack it, and it's been good.
What have you seen you talked about back-to-back days outside of the heat and everything. What have you seen from conditioning from this team so far? They went through a lot, in the offseason to get to this point, but how does it look so far for you guys as you get closer to the season?
Yeah, we talked about the offseason. No matter how much you run and how much you lift, there's nothing to prepare you for practice, let alone practice here in Florida. So that's been really good. I mean, they track all the GPS data and figure out how hard the guys are working and running all that stuff. Great. I think that, what we're finding out is there's a threshold that each person has that they can hit the capacity for each time that we practice. And it seems like that is going up every single day, which is the positive trend that we're looking for. So long-windedly, these guys are getting in better condition every day. Listen, the stuff that they do in the off season is setting them up for fall camp. And now fall camp is setting us up for the season. So it's been good and we're on track.
Coach, does anything particularly change when it comes to evaluating the quarterbacks? As you talk about how you're going from install to situational football, so how does kind of that evaluation of the quarterback maybe shift as you make that shift?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. How does our evaluation of each person shift through the situation that comes up? Is that what you're asking?
Essentially, like it's a different phase. You're going from install to the situational football stuff. Does that sort of shift what you look for the quarterbacks, or now it's sort of like, all right, now that we're in install, everyone's in playing field, so we got to look at the minutia.
Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah, with the install, there's kind of like a precursor to be able to execute in a situation. And all three quarterbacks that are taking reps have done a nice job of understanding what we're trying to accomplish with said play on first down, right? That's easy. First down, it's pretty simple. We're trying to get 4 more yards to get an efficient play. Okay, so that precursor has set us up for situational football, and the evaluation is now, was that a winning play? And it's pretty objective. Try to get as much gray area as possible.
Earlier this week, we started hearing the players saying that they recognize they can't beat themselves. So on that point, what are you seeing from the team from a discipline standpoint, penalties, and as well blocking?
Yeah, I'll say 2 things. One, make the play that you should make, and we talk about that quite a bit. Just make the play. And sometimes it's an easy play, and sometimes it's a play that you should make, and then don't beat yourself. And beating yourself is, that's penalties, that's a bad snap, that's lining up wrong. And lucky for us, we really haven't had too many busts. Like, these guys have done a really good job of studying and taking the install and understanding the situation. Where we need to get to now is a little bit closer to college football Saturday, and we got to clean up the little things. So that's an area that we're working on right now, and that's going to probably be the focus of our attention for the next, 8 practices, 9 practices before we really get rolling. So that's where we're putting the
And what about
attention.
blocking? How do you think they're doing?
Good. I mean, Coach Clark with the offensive line, they get to spend the majority of their time over there when we're doing special teams and doing other drills. Like, the blocking stuff's good, and we're not just exclusive to the offensive line. I think I talked about this maybe a time or 2 ago when I sat in front of you guys, was our whole offense needs to be able to block. The game is basically, the basic fundamentals is blocking and tackling. So whether it's blocking circuits, individual time spent on blocking, and I can definitely see the progress being made. Whether it's just blocking a bubble or it's blocking inside zone, it's looking a lot different than it did when we started in the spring. That's for sure.
Two weeks from tonight is the first game. I don't think we're going to talk to you before then. Just what will game day be like for you in terms of the operation? I know you've worked with Coach Frost before. Are you upstairs? Are you kind of the voice in the headset talking to Scott, or what will game day look like, and how much are you looking forward to, new team, new school, new opportunity being offensive coordinator?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for game 1. I'm trying to be where my feet are at the moment, because I know we still have a lot of work to do, and I'm excited about that. Whatever Coach Frost needs, man, I'm here for him. To support him in every way possible. And yeah, there's going to be some good communication between the 2 of us. We've obviously worked together before, and we got good rapport. So I'm excited to work with him. And there's no better than Coach Frost when it comes to college football Saturday and getting guys squared away and put in position to be successful. I'm excited to be a part of that.